Have you ever had that moment where your own child, your baby, the one you raise, who used to look to you for every answer, suddenly treats you like they're the parent? Maybe they interrupt you mid-sentence to correct you. Maybe they tell you what you can and can't do, or they speak to you in that slow, overly careful voice, like you've forgotten how to think for yourself. And all the while, you're sitting there thinking, wait a second, when did I become the child in this relationship? It can sneak up on you. One day, your son is calling for advice, and the next, he's calling to check in like you're the one who needs managing. Or your daughter is telling you how to eat, how to spend your money, how to live your life. And it's not that you don't appreciate the concern, because of course you do. It's just that somewhere along the way, the respect shifted, the tone changed, and suddenly you're not being asked. You're being told. If this has happened to you, first of all, you are not alone, not even close. So many people over 60 are facing the exact same thing, and most aren't talking about it. But it matters, because how you're treated by your children, the people you raised, loved, and poured your life into, can affect how you feel about yourself. And when that relationship starts to feel patronizing, it chips away at your sense of dignity, even if you don't say it out loud. But here's the truth. Just because you've grown older doesn't mean you've grown less wise, less capable, less worthy of respect. If anything, you've earned more. And you don't have to shout or argue or create drama to reclaim that respect. You can do it quietly, confidently, and in a way that helps your kids see the full version of you again, not the version they created in their heads. Let's start with something simple but powerful. Stop just going along with it. Because the more you allow yourself to be spoken to like a child, the more your kids start to believe that role fits. They may not mean any harm. In fact, they probably think they're helping. But when you smile and let it slide every time, when you let them talk over you or override your decisions, you're silently agreeing to it, even if your heart doesn't. So the next time your son says, you shouldn't drive anymore, don't just nod and hand over your keys. Look him in the eye and say, I've been driving for decades. If and when I feel it's time, I will make that decision. Or when your daughter insists on ordering for you at the restaurant, speak up with warmth but firmness. I appreciate your help, but I know what I like. I'll order for myself. It's not about pushing them away. It's about holding your ground in small, everyday moments. Those moments add up, and when you stop agreeing to be treated like a child, people start to remember that you're not one. Another important thing is to keep living your life. Because sometimes kids start overparenting their parents simply because they don't see you doing as much anymore. Maybe you've slowed down, retired, or simplified your routine. That's natural. But if all they ever see is you at home, watching TV, letting them take over practical stuff, it reinforces the idea that you're not running your own life anymore. So shake that up. Let them see you active. Let them see you deciding, initiating, learning. Join a book club. Take a class. Volunteer. Reconnect with old friends. Travel. Do something you've always wanted to do, but never had the time for. And don't just do it. Talk about it. Mention it in conversations. Share your excitement. Let your kids hear the fire in your voice. When they see you fully engaged in life, making plans, growing, taking care of yourself, it challenges that narrative they've created in their minds. The narrative where they're now the caretaker and you're the dependent. And it reminds them of the truth, that you're still the same strong, intelligent, independent person who raised them. And one more thing, don't be afraid to set boundaries. Yes, even with your own children. Because love without respect starts to feel suffocating. It's okay to say, I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. Or, I'd rather make my own decisions about that. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to apologize for it. You just need to speak it. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you spent years trying to keep the peace, keeping your thoughts to yourself, or tiptoeing around their moods. But the longer you stay silent, the louder the disrespect becomes. Not in volume, but in impact. You deserve to be heard, not just because of what you've done for your family, but because of who you are today, right now. You're not past your prime. You're at a place of deep wisdom. And wisdom isn't meant to be silenced or smoothed over. It's meant to be shared. Now that we've opened the door to these first two powerful changes, holding your ground and staying engaged with your own life, let's move even deeper into how you can shift this dynamic with grace and strength. One of the most effective ways to help your children see you in a new light is to speak with clarity and conviction. This doesn't mean giving a lecture. It means speaking from a place of calm self-respect. Sometimes, the reason your kids feel comfortable taking over decisions or giving unsolicited advice is because you haven't clearly told them what you need or what you don't need. For example, if they constantly check up on you, asking things like, "Did you remember to take your meds?" or "Did you lock the door?" It's easy to brush it off or give short answers. But what if you responded with, "I know you care and I'm grateful for that. But when you ask those questions every day, it makes me feel like you don't trust me to manage my own life. I'd rather you trust that I've got it covered, and I'll reach out if I need help." That kind of honest communication can open their eyes. They might not realize how their words are landing. They might think they're just being protective or helpful. But when you speak directly and respectfully, you give them a chance to reflect and adjust. And that changes everything. Another thing to watch for is how you communicate your decisions. Sometimes, without meaning to, we second-guess ourselves in front of others, especially our kids. We say things like, "I'm not sure if I should go out tonight," or "Maybe I shouldn't be driving that far anymore." And they pounce, not because they want to control you, but because they sense uncertainty. So even if you're still figuring something out, speak with confidence. Instead of, "Maybe I'll try that," say, "I've decided to give that a try and see how it goes." Instead of, "I don't know if I should go on that trip," say, "I've planned the trip carefully and I'm excited about it." When you carry yourself with calm certainty, people around you, especially your kids, begin to follow your lead instead of trying to lead you. This brings us to something equally important. Don't be afraid to challenge assumptions. As you age, it's natural for your body or your habits to change. Maybe you've gotten slower, or your hearing isn't what it used to be, or your memory takes a little longer to catch up. That's okay. But that doesn't mean your mind, your judgment, or your independence have disappeared. When your kids start talking to you like you don't understand, gently remind them you're still thinking clearly. If they repeat themselves unnecessarily or over-explain things like you're a child, you can say with a smile, "I appreciate the explanation, but I've got it. Thank you." It's a gentle way of letting them know you're still present, still capable, still engaged. And if they act like you're out of touch just because you don't understand every new piece of technology or social trend, well, they don't understand rotary phones, paper maps, or handwritten letters either. Doesn't mean they're less intelligent. It just means they've lived in a different world. Remind them of that. Bring humor into it if you like. But don't let it turn into a one-way street where they're always a teacher and you're always a student. You've got wisdom and perspective they don't even know they need yet. One of the most meaningful shifts comes when you share your story, not just the highlights. Share the challenges you've overcome, the mistakes you've made and grown from, the times when you didn't know what to do, but figured out anyway. When your kids hear the real stories of your strength, they remember that they didn't spring from nowhere. They came from you. You might say, "I remember when your father lost his job and we didn't know how we were going to make ends meet. I had to get creative and it was tough, but we made it work." Or, "I've been through more changes in this world than you can imagine, and I've always found a way forward." That isn't nostalgia, it's grounding. It reminds your children that the person they're talking to has already walked through fire and come out stronger. They may think they know what's best for you because they see you aging, but they forget how much you've already done, survived, and led. Your story isn't a thing of the past. It's a compass for the present. And as you begin to reclaim that space in the relationship, here's a gentle reminder. Don't let guilt keep you small. You might be tempted to keep quiet because you think they mean well, or "I don't want to hurt their feelings." And while their intentions may be good, that doesn't mean you have to accept being spoken down to or sidelined. You can love your children deeply and still expect respect. In fact, that's one of the best things you can model for them, how to love and honor someone at the same time. The more you practice this in your own life, the more your children will learn to practice it in theirs. You've raised them. You've loved them through every stage of life. You've been strong for them. Now it's time to be strong with them, not as a parent who has to take control again, but as a peer, as a respected elder, as someone who still has something to say and something to give. And there's one final piece of this puzzle, something that may be the most powerful of all. And there's one final piece of this puzzle, something that may be the most powerful of all. Live with intention, not for your kids, not for anyone else's expectations, but for you. See, when your children start treating you like a child, it's often not just about how they see you. It's about what they assume your life looks like now. And sometimes, without realizing it, we reinforce those assumptions by slowly stepping back. We stop making bold choices. We second-guess our opinions. We put our passions on hold. Not because we've changed, but because we've been told, subtly or directly, that maybe our time has passed. But your time hasn't passed. It's still here. It's still yours. Living with intention means waking up each day and saying, what do I want a day to feel like? Not, what does my son want me to do? Or, what would make my daughter worry less? But what feels meaningful to me? Maybe it's starting a small garden. Maybe it's finally learning to paint. Maybe it's taking yourself out to lunch and ordering whatever dessert you like without asking for anyone's approval. Maybe it's calling up a friend just to laugh and reminisce. Maybe it's dancing in your kitchen to music you loved 30 years ago. Whatever it is, do it boldly, not quietly, not like you're sneaking joy past the front door. Let it be loud. Let your joy be visible. Because when you live like someone who owns their life, people, especially your children, take notice. They see you not just as aging, but as living. And living fully at any age is one of the most commanding, respect-earning things you can do. Now, let's be honest. There will still be days when your kids slip into old habits, when they speak to you like they know more, or when they give advice you didn't ask for. And on those days, it might be easier to just sigh, let it go, and say nothing. But here's what I want you to remember. The longer you let someone talk down to you, the harder it becomes to stand tall again. And you've already spent a lifetime standing tall. You don't need to shrink now just to keep the peace. You can be kind and assertive. You can love your children deeply while reminding them you are not fragile or finished or waiting to fade into the background. You are still building your life, still writing your story. It's not about fighting with your kids. It's not about being stubborn or prideful. It's about reestablishing mutual respect, where your experience matters, your voice is heard, and your life is still yours to lead. So here's what I hope you take with you after watching this. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You've already proven yourself 100 times over in the life you've lived, the family you've built, the storms you've weathered. What you can do now is gently, consistently, and confidently show your children that you're not finished, that you still think for yourself, speak for yourself, and decide for yourself. Let your actions reflect your strength. Let your choices reflect your wisdom. Let your boundaries reflect your worth. Because when your children see you living from that place, not trying to impress them or please them, just being fully you, something shifts. They start listening more, respecting more, trusting more, and the relationship deepens, not just as parent and child, but as equals. That's the goal, isn't it? To have a relationship where love isn't tangled up in control, where respect flows both ways, where they don't just care for you, they see you. And if you're thinking it's too late, let me stop you right there. It's not. It's never too late to remind people who you really are. It just takes one honest conversation, one confident step, one decision to stop shrinking. So start today. Speak clearly, act boldly, live loudly, and most importantly, don't wait for permission. You never needed it. If this video spoke to you, if you've been nodding along or quietly saying, yes, this is me, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me. Have your kids started treating you differently as you've aged? And what are you doing to reclaim your space in that relationship? Your story could help someone else find their voice, too. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video. It really does help it reach more people who need to hear this message. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more encouraging, honest, and empowering conversations made just for you. You deserve to be seen, to be respected, to be heard, and you are never, ever too old to live your life boldly. Here's to standing tall at any age,